¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday morning. Well, Monday morning. Jesus. Monday afternoon. How's it going, everybody? Welcome, Heat, Cosmic Seeking, Echo Resto Dragon. Clinically Insane. How's it going, everybody? It is morning somewhere, I suppose. I could have just gone with that. But no. I'm tired, folks. Monday at 22:15. 2 hours before midnight. Still not morning. I'm very tired. Same. It is fall now. I get to see the actual season change. It's been interesting. It's also been very cold. We'll see about just how cold it's going to be this winter. Bouncing off ceilings and jumping on walls. Nice. I'm nowhere near that level of energy, so congratulations. I wish I had that type of energy. Not at this present moment, anyways. Lows tonight, say 36. Jeez, that's even a little bit colder than here. Yeah, I did move to a cooler climate. I didn't do shit with it, but it's there. Nice. Well, if you wanna let me borrow some of that energy, that would be great. Alright, folks, we've got quite the amount of stuff to do. It's in the mail. Sweet. I will be waiting. It's 8 degrees Celsius here. Sheesh. Yikes. We've got quite the headlines to go through, so let's get this started. Folks, before we before we get the show on the road, I've flown south for the winter myself. Oh no. I don't think I have that on. Well, I might, but it sounds like me doing stuff, and I don't. No, it sounds like work. No, thank you. Before we get started, if you guys have a moment, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. It really does help us out. Just a little free thing you can do to help the channel out. I chilled out with the Beccasphere today. Yeah, I was there. All right, let's get to it. First up, of course, because we have to. Thank you, I appreciate that. Easy and free. And also quick. Drew on all accounts. Because of course we have to talk about the important news. Kanye West has been locked out of his Twitter account after anti-Semitic tweet. Yeah. Kanye West has been locked out of his Twitter account after posting an anti-Semitic tweet. BuzzFeed News first reported, and Pitchfork can confirm. The full tweet, as reported by BuzzFeed News and The Hollywood Reporter, read, quote, I'm a bit sleepy tonight. But when I woke up, I'm going to assume he means DEF CON, like DEF. DEF CON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually actually Jewish also, I'm assuming. You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your, quote, agenda. Yeah, this is massively anti-Semitic. This is some borderline JQ plus like Hotep stuff. It's the belief that, black people are actually Jewish. It's weird. Let's go. Indeed. Kanye's either very ignorant or very silly. Neither. He's anti-Semitic. Ye's Q arc incoming. Yeah, no, this is I strapped in, but I forgot to put my helmet on for this one. Yeah. So this one is the one that presumably got him kicked out. Locked out of his account, I should say. It makes it sound like he forgot his password, not got kicked out. Yeah, no, he lost his access to his account for obvious terms of service violation. Yeah, all of the above also might apply. The social media platform removed the tweet shortly after West published it for violating rules and guidelines, i.e. TOS. There is currently a notice from Twitter in the tweets place that reads, this tweet violated Twitter rules. Although West's Twitter account is currently still live, a Twitter spokesperson told Pitchfork the account was locked for violating policy. Pitchfork has reached out to West representatives for further information and comment. Maple Leaf Dragon, continuing on the gifted sub, thank you. Hambless, funny, must have dropped in at no context, saw the comment, and thought, Kanye. Ha! Nice. The Pitchfork has reached out for Kanye's West representative for further information and comment. So he didn't even get his account suspended. I mean, see, the rich people are just like us. True. See, if it had been any other person, this would have been, his account would have been removed from the platform. This would have been immediately yeeted off the platform. Yeah, we would have been off the second this happened. Ethiopia had people with skin color and religious persuasion. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But yeah, this is some like black Israelite ideology. That's not really in line with like reality, and yeah. That's right, but if they ban Kanye, line go down, and that's not good. It's been a while. What's up, people? How's it going, Fu Man? How's it going? Howdy, howdy. Like in reverse too, they would scrub us from the site, but yeah, just gets a timeout. True. True. Must be nice to be wealthy and powerful. The Anti-Defamation League has also spoken out against West's tweet. The organization took to social media to publish a brief statement addressing the dangerous tweet. The behavior exhibited this week by Kanye West is deeply troubling, dangerous, and anti-Semitic, period. True. There's no excuse for propagating white supremacist slogans and classic anti-Semitism about Jewish power, especially with the platform he has. True. I don't know what that is, but none of this is in reference to like the Black Israel ideology. None of this has to do with any of that. Twitter's action just comes one day after Meta restricted West's Instagram account, blocking the musician from posting new content. Musician, yeah, I was not expecting Kanye to go full Hotep. Me neither. But I guess the signs were there, and I don't think that. I mean, the mask kind of fell. I think the mask kind of disappeared, evaporated, nuked out of orbit when he wore that White Lives Matter shirt with Candace Owens of all people. So yeah, well, yeah. Twitter's actions come just one day after Meta's restricted West's Instagram account, blocking the musician from posting new content, commenting, and sending messages per its policy violation guidelines. Meta did not specify, however, which content was removed from West's account. West had previously posted screenshot of alleged text with Sean Scan. I am super tired. I saw that E as a C. With Sean Puffy Combs on Instagram in one post viewed by Pitchfork. Naughty Grandma resubscribing. Thank you so much. Captioned Jesus. Wait, hold on. In one post viewed by Pitchfork, captioned with Jesus is Jew, the rapper said, "I'm gonna use you as an example to show Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me." Uh-oh. Got some hints of a JQ. Kanye just seems to be another rich guy who expects to have no consequences just because he's rich. True, he's incredibly narcissistic. Yeah, that's not what Kanye's talking about. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of hard to believe that he doesn't have some semblance of understanding of what he's saying and what he's posting and what he's doing. Like, if you can say like it happened once, maybe. No, I understand, Elio, but none of this has anything to do with what I'm talking about. None of it. At some point, we have to start assigning agency. And like, I don't know. At some point, we just have to start assigning agency. I mean, like, even if we understand that maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about, like, it's hard to believe because, like, well, then what's the alternative? Like, are we saying that he's like suffering from some mental mental illness? If that's the case, then that might be the case. I think he even admitted it. He even admitted it that he does not want to take medication because it, quote, clouds his creativity or whatever. Last time I checked, mental illness or not, mental illness does not cause you to be to post this kind of stuff. Mental illness does not cause anti-Semitism. Right, there we go, Fu Manchu. There we go. We just hit the nail. Ding, ding, ding. You took the words right out of my mouth. Yes. He's bipolar, but that doesn't excuse the effing anti-Semitism. Correct. That's exactly where I was going. So even if, we can say, even if he is diagnosed completely by a professional that he has X, Y, or Z, bipolar, whatever mental illness he has, that does not excuse exactly. It does not excuse his actions, and at some point we have to like assign agency. I mean, this is not okay. This is not okay by any stretch of the imagination. And he has a lot of influence. So, here we are. He's still a grown adult, and sure, he's being used and abused by the people close to him and those on the right who want to grift, but he's still responsible for his actions. Correct. Anti-Semite and most bigots don't consider the ideas to be prejudicial. They believe that they're factual and hence don't feel morally constrained from expressing them. True. That might be a good point there. Taking away that agency for his own actions infantilizes him and other people who don't do stuff he does who also suffer the same illness. Correct. Yeah, like I said, at some point you just gotta kind of assign agency to the person, because like this is no excuse to be like, well, no, it doesn't matter, fam. Like, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. This is some Hotep Black Israelite kind of nonsense. Whatever else he may suffer from, it definitely suffers from affluence and acute narcissism. Possibly, I have no idea. I'm not going to pretend to sit here and like no. But one thing is clear, based on what he's admitted, is that he definitely does have mental illness. And whatever the case may be, it doesn't excuse these actions. Because not any not famous person would be held to a different standard. Yeah, I see what you're trying to say. Yeah, exactly. And any person that would post things like this would immediately be eviscerated from the platform. They would be, hey, Simulacra, they would be yeeted off the platform. Most people have others around him who will tell them, what the F, man? True. I'm going to use you as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me. Yeah, this is like JQ stuff. This post is no longer on West's account. West later addressed Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg on Twitter, saying that, how are you going to kick me off Instagram? The post included an older photo of West, Zuckerberg, and others. In March, West's Instagram account was suspended for 24 hours after posting a slur targeting the Daily Show host Trevor Noah. Yeah, so repeat offender. And we finally end with the whole anti-Semitism arc. All I can say is two things. A, this is not okay. And B, get help. Get help, dude. Jesus Christ. And third, double standards much? He finds it's worth with others giving him attention, which means he's not worth the public's attention. True, it's part of being narcissistic. Kind of need that spotlight. Time for Kanye to go on Tucker again? True. We've actually got, he'll try to get Elon to give his account back. So that being said, Jesus. Ben Shapiro weighed in on this, of course.
Is it me or does everyone auditioning for this health insurance commercial?
Nothing can scare. Yeah, I know it. I know. Speaking of which, here we have Ben Shapiro weighing in on, of course, Kanye going on Tucker Carlson because something about triggering the libs. I bet. This is bad, but all right. Is that what we're gonna? I need to do like a Gamba streams. I need to do Gamba streams where we can try to guess what Ben Shapiro is gonna say or go over under. There is Russell Brand's voice. Yeah. Lately, like I've been trying to avoid Russell Brand. I've been trying to avoid Russell Brand. Kanye West equals Trump plus a little bit of musical talent. Oh man. Yeah, but here what's up, Walter? Here we are at the full circle of this whole thing, just straight up doing anti-Semitism and getting his account suspended. Ben will complain about liberal hypocrisy. Is that what we're gonna go with? I think most of it will be incoherent rant unrelated to the video title. Yeah, probably. We've got 9 minutes of this, so I guess we'll see. I want to play this video at 1.25 speed, but Ben talks so fast we won't be able to we won't be able to keep up.
Is in the news. He's in the news because he's becoming more overtly conservative. He did an interview with Tucker Carlson last night.
Yeah, okay, so he isn't just being overtly conservative. My dude's straight up like spreading anti-Semitic nonsense. This is not just being overtly conservative, unless Ben, you're admitting that this is where conservatism goes. I mean, unless we're gonna be willing to be a little bit honest over here, and to give us a little peek around the curtain about where conservatism leads, then by all means, continue to dig your own grave.
In which he came out as clearly pro-life, and he made a point that Democrats simply cannot stand. He made the point that more black kids are killed every year in New York City than are born every year in New York City thanks to abortion.
Whoa! Abortion isn't murder. He's saying conservative equals anti-Semitic. True. I mean, hey. His funeral. Why do you torture your audience? I don't know. Maybe there's some cynicism. Maybe I'm being cynical. Is that a beard he's trying to grow? It's not working for him? Yeah. Well. Say bye-bye to the cool kids philosopher and say hello to whatever this is.
Again, one of the things that is very telling about how the left responds to Kanye West is that when Kanye West...
And again, who is the left? Because like sometimes the left could just be, CNN. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a Sharpie.
Goes on stage and is crazy with Taylor Swift. Their response is, oh, that's amusing and not crazy at all. The minute he says he's pro-life, like, that guy's crazy.
That's fundamentally an understatement. It's not just because he's pro-life that people are like, wow, dude, there's something off here. It's because of his multiple, A, manic episodes, B, increasingly inflammatory rhetoric, C, getting more and more closer to like really far-right extreme ideas, wearing stuff like White Lives Matter t-shirts with Candace Owens, and now we have like the full circle, right? Just straight up saying like anti-Semitic stuff. I mean, geez. Ben Shapiro sounds like his parents forgot to pick him up from school on purpose. True, that's literally what happened. This is why now we're all suffering. It's because Ben Shapiro, at a young age, was neglected by his parents, and now we're here. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea. Charlie Kirk looks old for 28, and Ben here is trying to make himself look much older, like 38. Yeah, but it's not even working. It's funny though.
He's pro-life? No way. He's a black dude who's pro-life. That's impossible.
No, that's not impossible. A lot of like, there's a huge swath of the African American population that are socially conservative. Why are you strawmanning or whatever the leap of logic here is? Why are you doing that? You don't need to do that. We know. we know. And furthermore, again, people aren't pointing out to like a pro-life stance and being like, no, that's why he's, out there. That would be at the bottom of the long list of things that would make anybody be like, yeah, maybe this dude should probably speak to somebody, a professional.
possible. Kim Kardashian, by the way, is considered totally sane, despite all of her myriad sex.
That's whataboutism. That has nothing to do with Kanye West. Whatever Kim Kardashian did or didn't do, or whatever the heck she's involved in or not involved in, that has absolutely nothing to do with Kanye West. This is a whataboutism. A pivot of the most epic proportion. Waiting for his voice to drop? Same.
Sexual peccadillos and the fact that anyone who dates Pete Davidson is by definition insane.
That's also doesn't follow. That also doesn't follow logically. Because you date someone, then that means you are X. You are an X attribute. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense. You can date somebody, and be quite normal, even if the person you're dating isn't. Whatever that means, but I think my point is made.
It's an amazing thing, right? The media definition of insanity is not actual mental illness, which Kanye has actually...
The media definition of insanity is not actual mental illness. No, that's not... you can... Okay. Jesus Christ. Are we going into like a pedantic argument?
Acknowledge that he struggles with. That's not mental illness. Mental illness is when you're right wing.
No, that's... I mean, hey, listen, hey, chat, he said it, okay? I didn't say it. He said it. He said it. Not me. So anyways, being mentally ill, meaning acknowledging that you have a mental illness that you were diagnosed with. That's what Kanye has been talking about, okay? He's conflating these two things. Unless he thinks they're the same. Unless he's admitting to us that being right-wing is akin to having a mental illness, which would be a strange admission from Ben, Shapiro. No, what makes Kanye mentally ill, what makes Kanye, quote, the definition of insanity is quite literally taking from the definition, is to be in a state of serious mental illness or madness, which Kanye has admitted. That these are things that he struggles with, as Ben just admitted to us. That's the definition. That's what makes him, that's why people call him mentally ill, okay? That's it.
Mental illness is when you put on a MAGA cap. Mental...
I mean... You said it.
illness is when you say that you don't want to kill babies. That's the...
Wait, who's trying to kill babies? Wait, who's trying to kill babies? There's nobody trying to kill babies. If this is some type of like abortion thing, this is ridiculous. This is a caricature, a straw man, if you will. No, nobody's here like, yeah, we want to kill babies. Why is Ben talking about mental illness? I have no idea. Just to also piggyback off your comment, if Ben is not a mental health professional, neither am I. But yeah, because Kanye, if you want context.
True mental illness. The pathologizing of right-wing viewpoints goes...
Wait, wasn't Ben like part of like the people? Hold on, wait. Wasn't Ben like the part of a bunch of people who were saying like liberalism is a mental illness? Hypocrisy much? I'm pretty sure Ben is like part of I'm pretty sure Ben was a part of like that kind of crowd who is like saying liberalism is like a mental illness or whatever. I'm pretty sure Ben has engaged in that type of behavior. Wearing that MAGA hat is a good indicator of to be sus.
Goes back a long way. It goes actually back to a book by Theodore Adorno called The Authoritarian Mind. The suggestion was that there was a pathological drive in capitalist societies that led people to become authoritarian. It was a Marxist view of...
Yeah. Yes. What do you think businesses are? The structure of a business is inherently authoritarian. It's top down. You get orders decreed upon from the top down.
What America
Please don't scroll away.
was. And so the idea was that if you were right wing, you were going to become a fascist. And that
I mean, what better, like, listen, what better illustration as to what conservatism does than looking at the case of Kanye, right? He went from just being like what most people would be what most people would consider. Ben's literally making our argument. Whoever that person is, whoever wrote that, I forget the guy that, or the person that Ben just literally mentioned, but whatever. The point is, Ben is literally allowing us to illustrate this concept in real time. Kanye used to be, from what most people would consider, very, very, very apolitical, didn't really engage in politics and whatever. And then he started to engage in a little bit more of the right-wing politics. And then now we are Theodore Adorno, thank you. So now we're at the stage where he starts to engage in a little bit of politics. He starts meeting people like Trump, so he gets more right-wing. He engages in that more and more and more. He starts wearing shit like White Lives Matter. And wow, dude, hey, cool, we reached the anti-Semitism part of, you know, of the whole arc. Damn. Interesting. So, yeah. Shapiro is an aggregator of right-wing buzzwords and culture war concepts. True. Very interesting that we just got a case study on what Theodore Adorno was trying to illustrate us, help us understand. Thanks, man. That was very good.
That was because you were pathologically ingrained. There was something wrong with you. You were the kind of person who was abused as a child or who abused your own children. And that has made its way into modern politics in a variety of ways. People pathologizing their opponents, suggesting their opponents are mentally ill rather than just wrong.
Which your ilk has engaged in. Your ilk has engaged in. Okay. Yeah. We need a right-wing bingo card for his videos. True.
Suggesting that there must be, you know, some sort of actual deep emotional disturbance that drives policy differences. Okay, well,
sometimes that may be the case. Anyways, so the reason why Kanye is being called mentally ill is because he is. Self-admitted. This isn't like me attempting to diagnose or pretending to be some type of, you know, health professional, but this is just based on his admission, his own words, his own admission. I mean, even in this video, we've only been less than 2 minutes in, and Ben has admitted that multiple times Kanye has talked about his bouts with mental illness. That's the reason, okay? That's the reason. Oh, sorry, guys. Come on. Okay.
Here is Kanye last night on Tucker Carlson saying he's pro-life and setting 1,000 ships aflame.
1,000 ships aflame, like as if like every single, I guess, lefty, because to him, lefty means liberal, a Democrat, and not me. So that's the people he considers left. So I assume you're gonna need a couple of coffees. Make sure it's a double for this one. If the right wing began treating everyone with dignity and respect, I'd still not join because of that beard-looking thing on Ben's face. True. Way to ruin it, Ben.
The lanyard's still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Oh. I just finished my coffee. Ooh. So this guy, So this guy is literally wearing a lanyard with the ultrasound of what I assume is a fetus.
Why is that? And that you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Okay, so mind you, Ben Shapiro just said that, from a perspective, like the more right wing, the more conservative you are, the more prone to fascism you are. This is a living, breathing example. Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen. I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is...
It can't be death if it was never life. Yeah, omega yikes. Giga yikes, one could say. It's not death if it was never life.
abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
Wow. I mean, frankly, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, Ben, I know. This was done 3 days ago. Yikes, Ben. That probably did not age well. Yikes, dude. He has the power of God and enemy on his side. He is unstoppable. True. True.
Frankly, Kanye sounds much more sane than virtually everybody else in public life.
Yes. Yes. This sounds very coherent, and this sounds like somebody without mental illness would post. I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going to DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. This is all very normal, according to Ben Shapiro. Someone like him is actually more sane than most people on a public life or whatever he just stated. This is very normal. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jewish. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your, quote, agenda. Yeah, this is all just, this is all just normal stuff. I prefer George Carlin's interpretation. Life begat a billion years, and it continues to this day. True! Very, very normal stuff. Thank you, Ben.
And again, we are a society that rewards people for twerking in thongs while being 150 pounds overweight. But if you have an artist who creates art in which...
What? Is this a reference to Lizzo? Is he really this big mad? Bro, Ben. That's very interesting that like literally is the first thing that came through your mind. That's very interesting. Second of all, don't lie to yourself. Up until like a week and a half ago, a month ago, whenever this incident happened, none of you knew what the fuck was she even doing, okay, with that flute. None of you know the history of that flute. None of you even knew it existed, okay? Guaranteed. He can't get Lizzo out of his mind. True. The Lizzo thirst is real. True. I just think it's interesting that that's the first thing that came into his mind. And second of all, guaranteed that none of these people knew about that flute or even of its existence. I thought she'd drop it and broke it or something, the way they were going on about it. Yeah, and I bet, again, I would be willing to bet actual cash money that these people had no idea that this flute even existed. Okay? Shapiro turns a giant bingo ball and out comes the next lame idea. True. And quite frankly, I don't care. I don't care. Play that flute.
People sing about God. He did that at a recent show. And where you wear a badge honoring the...
Yes. What's good and righteous is when the people What's good and righteous is what I want, and what's everything else is degenerate. Oh boy, yikes. Anybody catch that little dog whistle there? A musical instrument being used to make music and dancing. The horror. I know, the horror. And said musical instrument wasn't even known about. I didn't even know about the damn flute. I didn't even know. All right, until these weirdos came out of the woodwork. I want clarinets to be cool again. True. Shout out to all the band students, yeah?
Unborn, and where you say that you do your work on behalf of the Almighty rather than on behalf of the
Yeah, I know. This is Christian theocratic fascist
mewling
shit.
gaggles
Cool, dude. Nobody cares, man.
of foolish press members who seem to be impressed mainly by transgressivism.
What? I don't even know. I checked out.
That's the real crazy, according to the left. Well, speaking of transgression, Kanye and Candace Owens at this last show that Kanye did this week, they did a show, and Candace showed up to the show, and of course, again, set the world on fire because this is one of the things that.
So again, kind of just proving the point where you start off with like normal conservatism, and here we are, moving further. It was a flute. Yeah, it's a flute. Sorry.
that Candace is fond of doing. She and Kanye were standing next to each other wearing sweatshirts that said "White Lives Matter."
Yep,
and
and
of
then
course,
we're
the whole
wearing-
point here was to generate debate.
And here we are wearing White Lives Matter shirts. Okay, cool. And then again, we end up at this end.
Generate controversy because the idea
It
is supposed
wasn't.
to be.
It wasn't to generate controversy. It wasn't. It was a direct response to Black Lives Matter, and over like 99% of the people using this hashtag were just literally white supremacists. So whatever.
That
Cool, dude.
all lives matter.
No,
Right? It's not just-
no, that's not the point. If not, it would say all lives matter, even though that can sometimes be a dog whistle in and of itself. But that's not what's on this shirt, dude. Whatever.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. The people who advocated for that slogan, because the idea is that Black lives are particularly under threat in the United States. That is simply factually untrue.
It's because they are, yes, disproportionately disaffected, so that's why. It's not only Black Lives Matter. The slogan doesn't say only Black Lives Matter.
Black lives are not at more significant threat in the United States from white people and from the cops than white lives are. If Black lives are more at risk in the United States, that has nothing to do with systemic.
Oh, yeah, right. It's something. What is it, Ben? Is it something inherently genetic? Come on, why don't you tell us what you really think? Why don't you tell us what you really think? Give us a little insight, buddy. You might as well go mask off. I want to see the flute made of quartz glass, nearly indestructible. Nice. Yeah, don't let the facts get in the way of Ben's feelings. Yeah, and I'm sure that when we open up the video here, we're gonna find links to statistics and sources to where he found this information. And no, nothing. Huh. Interesting. Cool.
White racism. It has to do instead with the fact that unfortunately the murder rate in the black community is extremely high. Virtually all murder that's committed in the United States is intraracial. In fact, the only population in which most of the murders committed are not from within the own race is Asian. Every other race.
Okay, but why is this weird sizing in into like murders? That's kind of weird.
In the United States, most of the murders that are committed in the Hispanic community are committed by Hispanics. Most of the murders committed in the white community are by whites. Most of the murders committed in the black community.
But why are we talking about murder rates? That's weird. You're fooling nobody with that facial hair still, baby boy. True.
Are by blacks. And so this idea that Black Lives Matter promulgated, which is that being a black person in America means.
So notice how he talked about murder statistics while not addressing the point that the whole disproportionate problems within our criminal justice system. The problems that are in our criminal justice system that disproportionately affects people of color. That's the issue here, or at least one of them. Well, what does that have to do with murder rates, my dude? Okay.
Means that you're just going to walk down the street, a white person is going to come by and lynch you every day is Jussie Smollett.
Nobody says that. This is a straw man. Ben doing the 1350 dog whistle. Ben doing the 1350 thing to dog whistle his audience. Ben still got to fill time, so he's got to dip into some talking points. Yeah, but like, man, not even like a source to like try to like, you know, bring people like to check out some statistics or something. We're just supposed to believe what he says. Yeah, he's kind of doing the 1350 thing. But yeah, this has nothing to do with the whole problem of like our criminal justice system disproportionately affecting people of color. Other people have to pay Ben royalties if they do 1350. Oh shoot, do I have to pay him royalties now? Because I said it? Is it like the phrase or...
Chicago at 3 a.m. in search of a Subway sandwich? None of that was true. And so White Lives Matter...
What does Jussie Smollett have to do with anything?
...is sort of a response to that.
Yeah, by white supremacists.
We'll get to more on this in just 1 second. First, does it make sense the same company that controls half of online retail also controls all of tracked and from hackers? Why it's rated the #1 VP Ben Shapiro .com.
Stop it.
Shh. When people ask me why I made a T that says White Lives Matter, they do. Well, I mean, that's terrible. How dare he say such a thing?
It wasn't...
Candace Owens left a comment on his latest post with multiple laughing, crying emojis. Jaden Smith reportedly immediately left his front row seat at the show when he saw the shirts. Ye apparently also got into a public battle with Vogue editor Gabrielle.
Yeah, because I would probably too, because I wouldn't want to be supportive of that or near that. Shapiro's audience can only hold one thought at a time in their head and have low retention, so it works well for him. Yeah, probably. But like, I don't even have these things like listed or saved. It just doesn't make any sense from like the front. Like if you just scrutinize his statements and you just ask like a couple of common sense questions, you'll be like, wait a minute. And that's what I'm doing out loud so that the people can listen to, you know, how to just question these things, right? Because like what is the murder statistics have to do with Black Lives Matter? The whole premise of Black Lives Matter, or the movement anyways, the movement Black Lives Matter started after it was like a protest against police because, well, the criminal justice system definitely disproportionately affects, it negatively impacts people of color. That's where this all came from, okay? This has nothing to do with murder rates or whatever he's trying to feed you. I mean, it's just wild that anybody can just like really take this guy seriously and not have like 5 seconds of critical thinking and be like, wow, this guy's actually full of shit. But yeah, I think you also have a point there, Maple Leaf Dragon.
Gabriella Carifa Johnson, who called the apparel pure violence. So just to get this straight, it's pure violence to now say that White Lives Matter also.
But, oh God, and we get an ad for this clown.
That's an act of violence.
It's not like literal violence, dude. It's messed up. And the fact that like 99% of the people saying, quote, White Lives Matter, which is a reaction to Black Lives Matter because they were protesting like the criminal justice system and policing, is A, very telling, and B, most of the time, like a good overwhelming amount of times, it was done by white supremacists. Yeah. So...
violence. Actual violence is not violence. Shirts that I don't like are violence.
No, what? Nobody's... What?
Supermodel Gigi Hadid jumped to Carifa Johnson's defense saying, quote, you wish you had a percentage of her intellect. You have no idea, haha. If there's actually a point to any of your beliefs, she might be the only person that could save you.
What?
I will note that in this particular post, there is no grammar, and half of the uses of the word you are spelled with just the letter U. So that's a very high IQ Gigi Hadid.
Weird.
Geniuses working out there. Earlier in the week, the rapper shared in an Instagram story, everyone knows Black Lives Matter was a scam. Now it's over. You're welcome. Correct. Black Lives Matter as an organization was in fact a scam, which is why Candace Owens is bringing out a brand new documentary. It's called The Greatest Lie Ever Sold.
Oh yeah, I truly look forward to Candace Owens' riveting documentary. Candace Owens, a well-known investigative journalist. Sure, buddy. Sure. Cool, dude. Sure.
That documentary is going to be available exclusively for Daily Wire Plus members on October 12th.
Right, and you got to pay for it. Nice.
And it exposes BLM. It takes a deep dive into the multi-million-dollar grift of the BLM Global Network Foundation and its former executive director, Patrisse Cullors. Candace dropped the trailer for the documentary Thursday on Twitter.
Don't care. But she's back, so so it has to be true. True. Why can't we just submit to the left and just be totally controlled by our tech overlords? It's kind of weird. Okay.
And Kanye West followed up by posting the clip to his nearly 18 million Instagram followers as well. According to DailyWire.com, in the film, Owens offers...
According to the source that I own, the Daily Wire. Okay, cool.
Viewers the true story behind the life and death of George Floyd and the rise of the movement.
Oh, the true story. Oh, yeah, okay. What does tech have to do with the left other than banning us at a higher rate than actual Nazis? True. Amazon loves your profiling. Corporate trash must bow down in profile. What? What are you talking about? What are you all right, buddy?
With never-before-seen interviews from experts and insiders. Candace says riots, violence, biblical heresy. That's the true story behind the George Floyd.
Biblical heresy, folks. Biblical heresy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can expect a banger from professional investigative journalist Candace Owens. I see I didn't miss much. No. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense, Echo Resto Dragon, but I just figured it kind of tied neatly with the Kanye story, so...
Story. You look around you see what is left, a story that made its way around the world. You see the $90 million invested in the community. Where did all that money go? Because Black Lives Matter as an organization did scam people out of $90 million, and the money just poof, disappeared. As it turns out, Black Lives Matter as an organization has now been barred.
I love how, like, he can't really compete with, like, he can't really contend with what, like, the messaging and the ideology behind Black Lives Matter is. He can't really address it.
I believe in California from actually receiving donations because of all of their tax problems. The company noted that the film takes a peek inside the curious role of big names like Chrissy Teigen in perpetuating the damage done to small businesses across the country and promises to leave no stone unturned and no receipt unread. Owens dropped the trailer for the documentary on Thursday, rebuffing that Black Lives Matter tweet from Jaden Smith, quote, "Ironically, you suffer from a life of tremendous white privilege. You say Black Lives Matter not because you mean it, but because you hope it provides you legitimacy within a community you never knew. The fraudulent BLM will be exposed on 10/12. Owen said, please wear black out of respect for the demise of the movement, which led Black America into further poverty, incarceration, and despair. Again,
true. The BLM did all this. Very true.
You can see that documentary, the greatest lie ever sold. You can see.
Yes, and it's all. Wow. The sources that I'm providing is my own news media. Nice. Right. The organization is not the movement. That's why Ben can't actually address the movement's like ideology or the thoughts behind the movement. He can't actually address their points, nor will he attempt to.
See that October 12th, right, next week over at dailywireplus.com when you become a subscriber. I've seen it. It is shocking and groundbreaking, and it's typical Candace. So it's going to...
Oh, so it's typical Candace. Oh, boy. I'm not paying to watch a second of that garbage. Sorry. I didn't pay... I will not pay to watch 2,000 Mules. I will not pay to watch any of these garbage movies if I can find them for educational purposes somewhere else. Then so be it. Since the Bible is an aggregation of thousands of years of folklore, which has been culturally and linguistically translated over and over again, what makes reliable source for what? Nothing. What? That kids can get... Can you, like, get a source from that? You okay? Listen, maybe you'll find a source and give us something to substantiate that claim. Like saying cancer treatment and research are bad because Susan G. Common Foundation is a scam. True!
As we say, create explosive situations. So it's worthy of the watch for sure. In fact, here's a little bit of the trailer.
No!
So Black Lives Matter released their...
I'm not allowing any shilling for this nonsense. So, okay, the rest of it is just going to be the trailer. Sorry. Hey, get back here. Yeah, the rest of it is going to be the trailer. I'm not listening to this. It's not relevant to our Kanye story. All right, we did it. Cool. Thanks, man. That was a perfect follow through. Wow, indeed. We made it through that, only lost a couple of brain cells. Yeah, we made it. It was short. It was short, and while it was filled with a lot of nonsense, it was pretty relevant to the story. So yeah, I think it fit perfectly. All right. Alabama Senator Tuberville equates descendants of enslaved people to criminals. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Senator Tommy Tuberville compared descendants of enslaved people to criminals on Saturday at a rally for former President Trump. No less, of course. Of course. Drawing intense backlash for promoting a racist narrative. In front of an overwhelmingly white crowd in Minden, Nevada, Tuberville criticized Democrats for being, quote, pro-crime. They want crime because they want to take over what you got. What do you mean? They want to take over what you got? What does that even mean? They want to control what you have. Again, what does that even mean? They want reparations. Oh, I see. So reparations is akin to gotcha. Okay. Because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. The people that do the crime are owed that. Reparations, in concept, in principle, is for the slaves, my dude. Reparations. It's in the word. Dude, how did you get that one messed up? Because of course this guy is like a racist piece of shit. So the only thing that's in his head is the racist tropes that like black people are criminals. Yeah. Bullshit, they're not owed that. In a press statement, the NAACP President Derek Johnson called Tuberville's comments flat out racist, ignorant, and utterly sickening. His words promote a centuries-old lie about black people throughout this history that has resulted in the most dangerous policies and violent attacks on our community. Tuberville's office did not immediately respond to NPR's request for comment. Why not? I feel like that would probably deserve some type of response. I mean, like, even if it's like the most bullshit ass response, like, oh yeah, I misspoke, because Democrat Party is the party of crime and lawlessness, and misspoke, Democrat bad. Like, he could have just maybe played it off that way, but yeah. Over the years, there's been growing support to offer reparations to black Americans whose ancestors were enslaved. Yeah, it's a dog whistle. It just didn't filter. Who were enslaved as a way to address the lingering effects of slavery. Right, like in common parlance, we know what reparations are. That's the whole point. Reparations isn't like a new concept either. So the idea that like He had no idea. He had no idea, and he just like, I had a little slip of the tongue there. It's hard to believe, but he could have at least made an effort to try to lie about it. Instead, he's just hiding. They're not going to own this. They're not going to own this. Last spring, a bill to study reparations for slavery had the support of more than 170 Democratic co-sponsors. A House committee had voted to advance the legislation, but it is yet to be considered by the full House of Representatives. Democrats do not have an explicit policy surrounding reparations, though some prominent party members have advocated for this idea. Right, to which he thinks that, reparations would be means giving money to criminals, which are, of course, the slaves. This is just wild. Unbelievable. Double down. Imagine if that's his response. Imagine if his response is to be like, you know what? Yeah. And what? Jesus. It wouldn't surprise me nowadays. All right. Which is why this quote-unquote self-proclaimed Republicans do all the voter fraud. I would say, yeah, a lot of, overwhelmingly, all these incidents, handful of incidents, end up being definitely conservatives. Political violence, we know there's overwhelming. It's not even close. It's the far right, and a large percentage of mass shootings. Yeah, they also have the. I think they also take the first position when it comes to domestic terrorism too. In fact, consistently, white supremacist and extremist ideologies of the sort are number one in terms of domestic terror threats. People submitted to work for others for no pay, being ripped away from family and abused. Those are the real criminals. Yeah, according to him, yeah. According to him, yes. So, neo-Nazi fascist, Christian fascist Nick Fuentes, is making a quite explicit call to action that I think it's best if we just hear it. I think we'll just leave the audio on. It's best if we just leave the audio on.
Generation. We need to raise an army of soldiers, not an army of pussies that have the right opinions. We need to raise an army of soldiers. And if you're meek or weak or you're a bitch, you need to hit the bricks.
Meek and weak are two different things. Meek does not equal weak. He pretends to be some type of Christian, and yet doesn't understand. Anywho.
Because it's finished. That movement is dead. And this is my mission. This is my mission statement. I'm announcing it early.
Yeah, so this is his mission statement. Rondo! How's it going? The meek will inherit the earth or something. Yep. Is that who I think it is? Yeah, it's our good. It's our Nazi Nick Fuentes. That's what it is. The meek will inherit the earth. Yes. Is he just doing the Russia VDV AD means strong army thing? I don't know.
My mission.
He's just doing stochastic terrorism. That's what he's doing.
2024 is to raise an army of at least 1,000 groypers that will infiltrate Capitol Hill and the Trump administration as staffers and bureaucrats. And it's our job to create an entire...
And make no mistake, this sounds like clown stuff, like clown logic, like clown world stuff, but he's 100% serious. And there are people that will 100% attempt to do this and will do this and will be successful should there be an incoming 2024 Republican administration. And on top of that, should that 2024 incoming Republican administration be Trump, 100%. This is the plan. These people aren't even capable of infiltrating Arby's. No, I would say do not underestimate them. This is a call to action to a lot of people. Nick Fuentes is very influential, not just like influential like as a political commentator, but like on the ground organizing. Yeah, I would take him very seriously. I take these threats very seriously. I take them as promises. Should they get the opportunity, they would absolutely try to do something like this. Yeah, no, I would not blow them off, Rundo. I could not blow them off.
A true movement, a cadre of 50,000 people to take over the government and create a lasting MAGA institutional revolution at every level of government.
Yeah, so he's basically calling for all intents and purposes, essentially like a coup. Yeah, it sounds like the Taliban calls to action, right? They're like very not so subtle. Yeah. Every time I picture Nick Fuentes, it's always while wearing an oversized diaper being dominated by someone in a leather mask. I honestly don't know why. Everyone discounted Trump until he got elected in 2016.
That's what we're trying to achieve, and nothing less. We got to come back in 24 with the vengeance. Not care what the media says, not care what your friends and family say, not care what anybody says. It's got...
Yeah, yeah, that sounds normal. Disregard your friends, your close circle. Not a cult, by the way. I'm not saying it's something we should ignore. I'm only saying that these people are morons. Oh yeah, but they're absolutely dangerous. That's the issue.
Gotta be Trump 2024, make America great again, or else. Like, at all costs. America first
at all costs,
any
folks.
Cost. Make America great again at any cost. It's got to have the suffix on there of, we will take up the cross and be willing to...
Yeah, I'm only playing the noise. It is noise, but I'm only playing the sound. That's it. Yeah, just audio. Yeah, I'm only playing the sound.
Be crucified for what we're doing. And our sacrifice will pave the way for a new generation, a new country.
Yeah. Cool. Just casually a Nazi, Christian fascist, calling to gear up. Yeah. Fuentes can't organize anything, but he can inspire a mass shooter. They're like, well, I wouldn't say he can't. He did organize folks to get there on the insurrection in January 6th. So he does have some ability to organize, and that's enough for me. And that's enough for me. Plus, the only thing he's been talking about that entire minute and a half is about raising an army, no exceptions, and at all costs. Sorry, not no exceptions, at all costs. So that is a clearly call to action and no doubt stochastic terrorism by Nick Fuentes here.
We need to raise...
Even if it's org, it's not him. His org, not him. It's still dangerous. Oh yeah, 100%. But it's him. He's directly calling for a quote-unquote army to prepare itself to force MAGA, America First, fascism at all costs. That's his goal. That's always been his goal. And he's just getting more explicit about it. That's all. All right, let's talk about labor. Starbucks. Starbucks employee was fired illegally. Wow, surprise, surprise. The labor board judge rules. Starbucks illegally fired an employee at one of the Coffee Giants shops in Ann Arbor, Michigan for engaging in union activism. A NLRB relation board ruled on Friday. The decision requires Starbucks to offer the worker reinstatement with back pay and to hold a meeting with employees, management, and government representatives and the union to clarify workers' rights and reassert the board's finding that the company broke the law. I would hope that they learned their lesson that firing people because they want to start a union is not going to solve their problems, the fired employee Hannah Whitback told Bloomberg in an interview. In fact, it's only going to make it worse. Nice. I'm glad that the NLRB put the screws to these people, because F them. You're well within your right to form a union. Anti-democratic speeches in public should be a finable offense. I don't know about finable offense, but I think it's worth understanding the damage and the danger, and be prepared, because it is getting more prominent. It is getting more out there, and the far right is capitalizing on it. The ruling comes amid a series of disputes between the coffee chain and Workers United, a labor group organizing for unionization at Starbucks stores across the country. Starbucks has said that claims of anti-union activity by the company are categorically false. No, I think I've seen this person before, but I forget. I might be wrong. You might be right. I don't know. By the company are, quote, categorically false and has denied wrongdoing in Whitback's case. But, sorry, the NLRB found that you literally retaliated because this worker tried to form a union. Get F, Starbucks. In Friday's ruling, according to Bloomberg, the NLRB judge wrote that the board's general counsel had demonstrated that Starbucks acted with animus when it fired the employee, i.e., it retaliated against a worker who was trying to form a union, which is well within the workers' rights. When it fired the employee who had participated in efforts to unionize the store in question, Starbucks has not indicated if it plans to appeal. The union representing employees, Starbucks Worker United, has accused the company of firing more than 80 employees because of their activism. The Starbucks union has racked up 220 election wins out of roughly 9,000 corporate-owned stores in the past year. Deny what? The accusations that you are a bot. Friend, are you a bot? Press 1 if you're a bot. Press 2 if you are not human. Press 3 for all other options. Starbucks store employees or partners who are supportive of the unionization drive have said that they are underpaid, undertrained, and poorly treated. Those claims have been largely rejected by the company. Sorry, I don't believe it. I don't believe Starbucks. From the beginning, we've been, show me the horses so I can prove that I'm not a robot. That's interesting. I asked a very simple question. It was a 1, 2, or 3 question. Suspect. No, I'm kidding. Out of roughly 9,000 corporate-owned U.S. stores in the past year, Starbucks employees or partners who are supportive of the unionization drive said they've been underpaid, undertrained, yeah, I bet, and poorly treated, also true. Those claims have been largely rejected by the company. From the beginning, we've been clear in our belief that we do not want a union between us and partners, and that conviction has not changed. Yeah, I know. Trust, we know. Executive Vice President Roseanne Williams said in a statement last year, "Our hope is that a union representative also come to the table with mutual good faith, respect, and positive intent." Yeah, that's the point of the union representative, is to level out the playing field. Yeah, partners are an equal footing, which obviously they are not. So that's a bit of a misnomer. Separately, the NLRB said last week that union representation petitions has increased 53% in fiscal year of 2022 when compared with 2021, the highest number since 2016. Nice. The board said that employees are turning to establish an independent unions in an effort to address a range of workplace issues, including wages, benefits, and concern relating to pandemic health and safety. Given the spike in cases, in case intake we are seeing in the field, we can expect even more cases to come before the board in fiscal year of 2023. The NLRB chairperson, Lauren McFerrin, said in a statement, the NLRB said that 2,510 union petitions were filed in the fiscal year to September, up from 1,638 over the same period a year earlier. The unfair labor practice charges filed with the NLRB increased 19%. Wow. Although unionization efforts at Starbucks and Amazon have received the most public attention, a number of worker drives from other, sometimes unexpected quarters have joined them. Nice! In a memo on Thursday, the NLRB said that 30 dancers at a topless bar in Hollywood, California would vote next month on whether to join the Actors Equity Association, a union that represents 51,000 professional actors and stage managers. Nice! Based. Dancers at the Star Garden Topless Dive Bar have picketed for months for better workplace conditions, including higher wages, access to benefits, and better security and safer stages. Nice. If a majority of the dancers vote to unionize, they will become the only organized group of strippers in the U.S. Congratulations. Previously, strippers at San Francisco Lusty Lady organized under the Exotic Dancers Union in 1996. The Lusty Lady closed into 2013. Definitely a positive direction. Let's go, ladies. True. Absolutely a necessity. I'm glad. I am glad. All right. Let's take a look here. Folks. Before we continue on our news stream, if you have a moment, okay, and I promise this only takes 5 seconds. If you have a moment, consider hitting the big red subscribe button in our YouTube. It really does help us out, and just spread the word far and wide. Okay, it all helps, folks. Thank you. All right. Trump lawyer told to certify Mar-a-Lago document search she did not conduct. Donald Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, was instructed to certify to the Justice Department that all sensitive government documents stored at his Mar-a-Lago resort, subpoenaed by a grand jury, had been returned, though she had not herself conducted the search for records. So she's going to legally put herself in the center of all this because, well, if it turns out that that's not the case, that's a huge no-no. Follow here on Twitch. Drew, hit the follow button. You get 5 free emotes, okay? Hey, how come that didn't work? That's strange. Am I the only one that can do it? No, that can't be. Try just the exclamation Discord. There we go. Ah, okay, so I think the little, what are those things called? The, this? Whatever that is, might have confused it. Yeah, it's just the thing. Yeah, do the thing, folks. Alright. Donald Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, was instructed to certify the Justice Department that all sensitive government documents stored at his Mar-a-Lago resort, subpoenaed by a grand jury, had been returned, though she had not herself conducted the search for records. Uh-oh. The certification of subpoena compliance appears to be at the center of a criminal investigation into the obstruction of justice surrounding the former U.S. president. After the assurance was proved to be untrue, an FBI search of the property turned up more than 100 documents marked, quote, classified. The saga around the Mar-a-Lago documents has becoming increasingly fraught in the courts as Trump has repeatedly claimed the FBI search and resultant investigation is politically motivated. No evidence of that. Meanwhile, the Justice Department and Democrats have portrayed the taking of documents as a potentially serious national security breach, which is a fair assessment. Bob signed the certification as the quote custodian of records at the direction of another Trump lawyer, Evan Corcoran, and only later added caveats to make the declaration less ironclad, since she had not conducted the search herself, according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Somebody's going to take the L for this. Somebody's going to take the L for this. And I suspect it unfortunately, I suspect that it might not even be Trump that ends up taking, like, the ultimate L for this. Unless there's, like, some proof of the connection between, the direct... the direct orders that Trump would give to these people, then maybe. But I've got a feeling, the way this case is progressing, that maybe Trump might actually not see any kind of consequences. It might turn out that one of these lawyers might end up taking the ultimate L. We'll see. The certification was drafted by Corcoran, who also searched Mar-a-Lago for documents demanded by the subpoena and sent it to Bob before the Justice Department's counterintelligence chief, Jay Bratt, arrived on June 3rd to collect the folder of responsive records. But unsure as to whether the subpoena had been fully complied with, Bob told Corcoran to amend the certification to say that based on the information that has been provided to me... oh my god. Ooh! This is like playing hot potato right now. All documents responsive to the subpoena were being returned after a diligent search. Jesus. It's not clear why Bob is willing to sign the declaration as required by the subpoena in lieu of testimony as the, quote, custodian of records when she never fulfilled such a role. The sources said, and appeared to know there was a risk in attesting to a search that she had not completed. And it was also not clear why Corcoran, who had been liaising? I don't know, whatever. Acting as a liaison with the Justice Department for weeks over government records at Mar-a-Lago, according to court filings, did not himself sign the certification, as well as whether he had been asked for Bob's signature. Yeah, these folks are going to play hot potato, and I guess wherever this lands is whoever is going to end up taking the L. Oh man, yikes. Bob testified to the Justice Department about the June 3rd episode on Friday, detailing Corcoran's role and additional contact with Trump's in-house counsel, Boris Epshteyn, one of the sources said. NBC News earlier reported Bob's testimony. The circumstances surrounding the subpoena certification has become of special interest to the Justice Department as it conducts a criminal investigation into a possible violation of the Espionage Act, obstruction of justice, and the retention of government records. At issue for the obstruction line of inquiry, according to the partially redacted search warrant affidavit and recent court filings, is whether the letter signed by Bob was willful misrepresentation so Trump could hide other documents marked classified at Mar-a-Lago. Efforts were likely taken to obstruct the government's investigation, federal prosecutors alleged in the August filing. But the previously unreported details behind the certification and accepted as sufficient by the Justice Department on June 3rd could change the dynamics of the obstruction investigation and minimize Bob's potential legal exposure if she was misinformed, former Justice Department officials said. The Justice Department appears to view Bob and Corcoran as witnesses instead of potential defendants, even if that can change without warning. In a motion to the U.S. Appeals Court for the 11th Circuit, prosecutors wrote that Trump's lawyers might be witnesses to relevant events. If they all let the drug users out of prison, there would be plenty of room for these criminals. True. True. The actual criminals. In all seriousness, Bipedal, that is massive. That the Biden administration is taking these steps. I think it's probably one of the better things that he's done. One of these, like, I can concretely point to and be like, wow, he did it good, without a doubt. Corcoran did not respond for a request for comment. Bob and her criminal defense attorney also did not respond to requests for comment, though Bob has told associates since the FBI search of the property on August 8th that the certification she signed was truthful. Bob is considered as in-house counsel on Trump's legal team, but was not involved in the Mar-a-Lago document case in the run-up to the FBI search of the property in Florida, and signed the certification as the custodian of records in name only. Except none of the pardons were for people currently in prison. Boo. I would say that the most notable action of that was hopefully the door has been opened to the rescheduling of marijuana. That would be one of the biggest things. And no doubt about it, even like the people who the federal, the people who were pardoned, no doubt about it, it does impact some people, and I think, like I said, more notably, it's really the opening of attempting to reschedule marijuana. That's the takeaway there. The distinction is important. In signing the statement as a custodian, rather than as a lawyer, Bob might not be subject to attorney-client privilege protection and thus could be able to speak more freely. Well, we are definitely going to keep up with this. 88 articles, that's BS. The last time it said it was 89. It would be so nice so we can do more studies. Into like the medicinal uses? I just want it to be decriminalized and legalized. Like weed, like all drugs as like all drugs as just like a policy proposal for me should just be decriminalized. Weed in particular should just be legalized. Spice scares me. I remember seeing it and almost trying it back when it was at every gas station. I've seen it before, and some of my friends have tried it. But the results vary. Results vary. I think one of my friends told me that it made him feel very sick. So he just didn't do it again. Cannabis is safer than sugar. True. They advertise it as legalizing weed. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical about that. I mean, like, as far as like right now, I'm completely on the CBD hemp kind of deal. That's legal across all 50 states. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. You can get some relatively decent flour, and you can get some actually pretty good CBD edibles. Do you share links? What do you mean? Like, are you allowed to post links? You've got a little diamond, so you can definitely You could definitely post links. Hemp is super useful. Yeah.
Today's video is sponsored by
Jesus. This is very loud. Let me just... There we go.
Surfshark VPN, which wants you public Wi-Fi. Doesn't have to be
Oi.
traveling the world. To yourself as follow the link off to a woman in a car with a woman. Norton visited a shop, bought a packet of illegal video. In 2011, 22-year-old Anthony Norton visited a shop, bought a packet of illegal high, and smoked it. Shortly after, he went to a gas station, demanded sexual acts from 3 women, got into a car with a woman and her 11-year-old daughter, and exposed himself to a woman and a 7-year-old child. He was arrested and charged with solicitation of sodomy and cruelty to children. He doesn't remember any of it. Quote, "I'm totally sorry. I don't know what I did, but I've heard what I did, and I would take it back if I could," he claimed. He continued, "Since I heard it was legal, I thought it was okay. Marijuana is illegal, and this is legal. I thought, no biggie. It can't harm you. I won't do anything stupid." The substance he used was spice, a synthetic cannabinoid that's been destroying lives and communities and has killed
Wow. I mean, like I said, I had a friend who had like a really bad experience with this. It made him very sick. I did not know it was like this. Hemp is almost a direct replacement for polyester in virtually all uses of polyester. That's so cool. Hemp is so like useful for like a whole bunch of things. I mean, unironically, it's used for almost anything that you can think of can possibly be replaced with hemp. Single-use plastics, clothes, bags, cement. You could make hempcrete. I mean, yeah, it's so useful.
Thousands. At the time Anthony took it was completely legal, and it could be picked up for $10 a bag. The commonly held belief is that synthetic cannabinoids found in spice can be traced back to a sole inventor, John W. Huffman, and he suffered for it. His role in the story began in 1995 when he was working as a professor.
Is this even like still sold, or did they like rip this out of the shelves? Like, man, I remember this was a thing when I was much younger. I definitely remember that.
Professor at Clemson University in South Carolina. Biochemists had recently discovered cannabinoid receptors, the parts of the body that not only allow humans to get high from weed, but also have an involvement in pain, sleep, and appetite. They knew they could be triggered by the THC found in cannabis, but not much else. Figuring out the details of how they worked had the potential for an untold number of breakthroughs in medical treatments
including
and therapies. Using
radiation.
real cannabis in research, however, was difficult. Legal restrictions made it hard to obtain, and it triggered the CB1 and CB2 receptors simultaneously, which wasn't ideal. Having a new, freely available compound that could bind selectively to either receptor would be an incredible asset for research. John Huffman heard about the problem and thought that it sounded like a fantastic puzzle to solve. In the decade that followed, Huffman and his team created over 300 compounds, and in 1995 published their findings and, crucially, their formulas online. He never tested any of them on humans, didn't examine their toxicity, and certainly had no aspirations to become the father of a synthetic drug epidemic. So it came as a horrible surprise when in 2008 he received a message from a blogger in Germany informing him that JWH-018, the 18th compound he'd synthesized, had been found in spice. This horrible discovery led to over a decade of interview requests, angry emails, and heartbreaking phone calls from family members whose loved ones had been taken by the drug. Huffman was pestered until retirement, when he eventually managed to find some peace by living a remote and quiet life. Some thanks for the years of research that it hoped would lead to treatments for HIV, AIDS, and multiple sclerosis, and pain relief for chemotherapy. What is less well reported is that those first batches of spice contained more than one synthetic cannabinoid, one of which was invented in 1979, 16 years before JWH-018, whose inventors should really have shouldered some of the blame. Unfortunately for Huffman, those shoulders belong to one of the world's largest and most powerful pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer, who had a lot better PR team than a lone professor. Pfizer's CP47497 was first published in a 1982 paper entitled Cannabimetic Activity.
There it is. Just as you were saying.
CP47497, a derivative of 3-phenylcyclohexanol. In the abstract, the authors claimed the compound was closely related to THC, but with 3 to 28 times greater potency. They even went so far as to declare that it was capable of producing many of the effects of THC. And who could have ever predicted that anyone would want to exploit that for recreational purposes? Now, I know what you might be thinking. Why should any of the scientists be shouldering the blame? It's not as if the formulas for synthetic cannabinoids are the only ones to have been posted online. Pretty much every drug ever invented can be found with a quick Google, and our streets haven't been flooded with cheap antivirals or insulin. The key difference is that synthetic cannabinoids are just so easy to make. So when Huffman found that one of his compounds helped non-melanoma skin cancer and brain tumors in mice, he decided to publish the manufacturing instructions to make it easier for others to continue the research. Instructions that were so simple, he claimed they could be followed by a halfway decent undergraduate chemistry major in 3 steps using commercially available materials. Unfortunately, as Breaking Bad hadn't been filmed yet, it didn't occur to him that anyone would be stupid enough to try and make it, never mind smoke it. Aside from the fact that no one knew whether or not the compounds were toxic or carcinogenic, history was fairly clear on the perils of making and taking your own drugs. In 1976, chemistry student Barry Kidson decided to try his hand at synthetic drug design and created 1-methyl-4-phenyl-4-propioxypyridine, MPPP, more catchily known as new heroin. Unfortunately, as he refined his process, he removed some steps and accidentally made a different substance that gave him early onset Parkinson's.
Jesus.
Of course, risks like brain damage and death don't mean much to a drug baron who has the potential to earn $500,000 per kilo of cheaply made spice and has no intention of taking it themselves. Plus, as the drug was brand new, there was no legislation. Making and selling it was completely legal. With a bit of clever branding, it would be distributed and sold in petrol stations, corner shops, and head shops worldwide. Spice is now illegally available in many forms as a powder, vape fluid, and even in sweets. But the first and most popular version was one which closely resembled marijuana, a small square packet of green, crumbly plant material that could be sprinkled into a spliff and smoked. This was a clever marketing tactic that worked in a couple of ways. Firstly, customers were much more likely to try it if they viewed it as a nice natural alternative to illegal cannabis rather than a sinister chemical powder that's made in a lab. Secondly, it could fly under the noses of authorities with Harry Potter-style ingredients lists consisting of mugwort, blue lotus, dwarf skullcap, and Indian warrior. Manufacturers would often chuck a few labels on it like incense, potpourri, and not for human consumption on there just for good measure. To the uninitiated officer, spice was just some herbal hippie concoction stoners would burn to look cool. Essentially, they saw it as a rebranding of the baggie of oregano that teenagers are often conned into buying and smoking. What wasn't included on the label, though, was the synthetic cannabinoid compounds that was actually getting people high. What the spice makers were doing was buying huge quantities of random plant material online and spraying them with synthetic cannabis. The plant itself didn't matter and was rarely anything as exotic as blue lotus. With all this talk of synthetic cannabis, spliffs, and similarities to THC, you'd be forgiven for thinking that spice's high would be similar to weeds. However, while THC only partially activates the cannabinoid receptors in the brain, spice activates them fully. Not only does this make the synthetic version more potent, but it varies the effects. Cannabis also contains the compound cannabidiol, otherwise known as CBD. This stops the release of the chemical messengers released by the action of THC. Synthetic cannabis doesn't contain this, so there's nothing to keep things under control. At a low dose, users can find the traditional, happy, relaxed, munchy, craving high THC normally delivers. At a higher dose, paranoia, rage, vomiting, memory loss, and seizures are common. Severe side effects include tachycardia, bradycardia, acute kidney damage, psychotic episodes.
He pronounces say bidet funny.
Please clap.
And even death. No one has ever died
Jesus Christ.
from cannabis overdose. Thousands have died from spice. By far the most famous side effect is the complete loss of body control and consciousness that sends users into a zombie-like state. As the drug spread through the US and the UK, thousands of images and videos were posted online of people shuffling around or frozen in contorted positions, completely unresponsive. What's most shocking, though, is that these are captured by so-called zombie hunters in broad daylight, with shoppers and children walking by. One couple was even filmed having sex in the middle of a public park, completely oblivious to the families around them. Synthetic cannabis is also much more addictive than its natural namesake. One hit will put the user in a state of oblivion, known as gouging out for hours. But as soon as they come round, their craving strikes, and they'll do it all again. One homeless charity worker in Manchester in the UK reported witnessing a man go into cardiac arrest. He was resuscitated and back to smoking the same spice that had almost killed him just 3 hours later.
Oh my God.
He gets the point where spice addicts can't eat or sleep without the drug. If they pass out, their bodies will wake them every 3 hours for another fix. Days can go by, hopping from one high to the next with no idea how much time has passed. Losing entire weeks without eating, sleeping, or being aware of OA or defecating is not something that would appeal to your average recreational user, but it's exactly what the homeless and prison populations wanted. Spice made it into correctional facilities first, as it was legal and therefore easy to obtain, had no odor, and couldn't be detected by drug tests. People were even getting deliberately arrested for crimes with short sentences so that they could smuggle it in. Once spice-addicted inmates were released, they took it to the streets and spread it through rough sleeping communities like wildfire. The problem was made worse by just how cheap and readily available it was. When spice first hit the market, a £10 pack could get you high for a week, and a spice-laced spliff could be bought for as little as 50p. This kind of money was easy to find by begging or shoplifting, so people were able to keep themselves perpetually high day and night. It's estimated that 70% of Cardiff's homeless community and 95% of Manchester's used the synthetic drug. Addicted inmates had it even harder, as once they were hooked, dealers on the inside could demand anything they wanted in return for a packet. Addicts would consent to having their heads shaved, washed in the toilet, and would drink urine in return for a high. Footage taken inside Hindley Prison in the UK showed one inmate eating a sandwich containing human feces in exchange for spice. Trying to get off the drug results in withdrawal symptoms similar to, and sometimes worse, than coming off crack or heroin. Vomiting, seizures, psychosis, and terrifying hallucinations have all been reported. But people keep coming back, despite the fact that the next spliff could be the one that kills them. Lack of standards and regulations means it's easy to overdose. The chemicals are often applied with cheap hand sprayers, meaning the potency of each packet varies, and matches often include hotspots, which have received too much. In 2017, Manchester saw a wave of spice with a 10-fold increase in potency suddenly flood onto the streets. This was most likely caused by someone missing a decimal point and following the recipe. Occasionally, undesirable extras were added to the mix, either as a way of stretching the chemical or to extend the hype. In 2018, rat poison was added to a batch that ended up in Illinois. Over 150 people began to bleed uncontrollably, and several died. Controlling synthetic drugs was a huge problem in the countries affected. Officials knew that something had to be done. Deaths were rising every year, and city centres were transforming into scenes from The Walking Dead. The issue gained even greater prominence in the United States after an American teenager, David Rosger, shot himself with his family's hunting rifle. Initially thought to be a suicide, his friends later admitted that David had smoked a synthetic drug, K2, an hour before the incident. In response, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley introduced the David Mitchell-Rosger Act, and President Barack Obama signed the Synthetic Drug Abuse Prevention Act in 2012. The UK tried amending its Misuse of Drugs Act in 2009 and again in 2013 to classify the synthetic compounds as Class B drugs, illegal to possess, manufacture, or sell. The problem was, every time they reclassified one compound, manufacturers had another one ready to go. Only a slight adjustment to the chemical.
It's kind of like it's kind of like PFAS, right? They outlaw specific chemical, BPA or whatever, and they come up with something else, all for a buck. Your body chemistry is completely out of whack. True. This is wild. I didn't know it was like. I knew like spice was a thing like when I was younger, but this is something else. I did not know it was like this. Sheesh.
Was needed to evade the law. Finally, in 2016, the UK cracked the legislation aspect with the
Capitalism
Psychoactive
at its best.
Substances Act, which made the production, distribution, sale, and possession with
That's the real innovation capitalism provides, folks. There you go. You know what? I'll admit, capitalism does innovate.
within correctional facilities of any psychoactive substance illegal. It was also made no longer available over the counter, and head shops had to take it off the shelves. Multiple other countries followed suit with their own laws. Legislation, however, is rarely enough to contain drug use, as demonstrated by the 33-person New York zombie outbreak of 2016, 4 years after the Prevention Act. All legislation did was push spice onto the black market. Prices have more than doubled to £25 a pack, and dealers are making £1,500 off £50 worth of the substance, which can be bought in bulk online from China and India. Those who are addicted are still addicted. The legislation just means they have to beg more or eat less to afford the same amount of spice they were using before. They also face additional risks. Pre-ban users could visit high street shops. Now they face dealers, muggings, and sexual exploitation. Some cities have even reported a rise in the use of children as drug mules, delivering spice on push bikes to the homeless. Well, the answer remains unclear. Spice is destroying lives and costing governments millions in police and paramedic call-outs. But how do you stop it? Some call for greater police presence, maximum penalties for drug possession and supply, on-the-spot spice tests, and stricter import checks. Others, however, say decriminalization is the answer.
True.
After all, the Netherlands legalized cannabis, and
yeah, like decriminalization and like acknowledgement of, you know, this is a public health issue, so it's okay. Decriminalize, destigmatize, and try to, I don't know, get people help. And one way of doing that is maybe, I'm just spitballing over here, is to make plans to have some type of universal healthcare system that is capable of doing this.
had a spice problem. Either way, someone should probably do something to stop people defecating in phone boxes and getting high in front of kids.
Well, I mean, I don't even, whatever. The issue here is that it's, you know, obviously causing some health issues. Yeah. All the drug war did was drastically increase crime. Right. That, you know, didn't really have to be there. It increased crime because it increased criminality. It did the exact opposite. It did the exact opposite. All right, folks, we got a little bit of time, so let me just let's see. But helping your fellow human is socialism. True. Damn it. I subscribe to What Would Jesus Do? You know, all the jail. True. It's American Jesus. GOP Jesus. All right. This one we can probably fly by. Crazy idea, but maybe get off our moral high horse and design drugs that get people high safely, and I think we should embrace recreational drugs. True, that's also a thing. Decriminalization, destigmatization. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Rick Scott, yeah, like, of course, like, these people were incentivized to create these type of things because, well, there was a company that had to make a profit before it went to the black market. Of course. It was never about getting people high safely. Rick Scott, Tom Cotton to campaign for Herschel Walker amid abortion controversy. Yep. GOP Senator Tom Cotton and Rick Scott, Voldemort of Florida, will travel to Georgia to campaign for Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker. I'm on Herschel's team. They picked the wrong Georgian to mess with. I'm proud to stand with Herschel Walker. I know you are. I bet. And make sure Georgians know that he will always fight to protect them from the forces that are trying to destroy Georgia's values. Can you... What is this? I don't even know what that means. What forces? What are Georgia's values? Like, that's kind of weird. Florida man, which was first to report the news. He confirmed it to the visit with CNN and NBC News as well. Cotton confirmed his campaign stop on Twitter, saying that he is excited to head to Georgia to campaign for Herschel Walker. Of course. Yeah, gotta have that Senate seat. Cotton and Scott's visit come after Daily Beast first reported last week that Herschel Walker paid for the mother of one of his children to have an abortion in 2009, which Walker denied, calling the accusation a, quote, flat-out lie. Of course, the New York Times reported that Walker asked the woman for a second abortion, which she refused, which we know that she is the mother of one of his children. This is true. Republicans such as Scott and NRC have come to Walker's defense. Former President Trump called the accusations a, quote, distraction by Democrats and the media. Yep, Walker's opponents have called him out for hypocrisy, given that he strongly opposes access to abortion and supports a national ban on abortion after 15 weeks without exception for rape and incest. He also is, on the party of family values and whatnot, yet consistently is demonstrating the opposite. Not that it matters, but I'm just saying for the hypocrisy argument. Nice meme. But of course, people like Tom Cotton and Rick Scott support this guy. Because at the end of the day, they know no principles. They know no principles except power. They know no principles except getting that Senate seat and cementing more power. That's it. The entire left doesn't care that he paid for the abortion. It's just to quit lying about it. Yes, it's exactly correct. It's the hypocrisy. It's the hypocrisy argument, and it's the lies. It's the lies. It's the lies. I mean, like, this dude lies literally about anything and everything. Even things that he doesn't have to lie about. Like saying stuff like he was like a law enforcement officer or something like that. FBI, I think is what he said. Which he's not. He never was. Things that he doesn't even need to lie about. But yeah. The issue is the hypocrisy and the lies. But Herschel Walker's had issues with anger management, so run for Senate. Yeah, he's definitely had issues with anger management. All right, climate recap, and yeah.
Expect to see those gas and energy prices go up again because OPEC Plus, the international fossil fuel cartel led by Saudi Arabia, has sided with Russia by reducing its global oil output ahead of the winter.
Yep. When I anthropomorphize weed, I imagine it thinking like, what the F do I need to do to be legal? I make ropes, clothes, I make you happy, I even help cure cancer. I've been found to help with seizures, I believe. Yeah, it's what the F do I do to need to be legal? Yeah, big pharma, capitalism is there. That's the problem.
I guess Biden's fist bump didn't work. This is its largest supply cut since the beginning of the pandemic, and North America, Europe, and most of Asia are furious with this decision because it will likely worsen the global inflation and death toll in the winter. Thanks, OPEC, for reminding us why we shouldn't rely on fossil fuels.
True.
As for the U.S., President Biden ordered the release of more oil from the Federal Oil Reserve, and he says the government is assessing other options for energy supplies. As I see it, our options are either continuing to deal with dictators like Saudi Arabia, Russia, and Venezuela while killing our planet, or quickly expanding our clean energy supply and energy efficiency retrofits, which would reduce the cost of energy and increase our energy independence and stability while saving the planet for future generations. Seems like a clear choice to me, but
yeah, like the issue here is,
what do I know?
Is the issue here is obviously getting ourselves off of fossil fuel. I mean, like, we can't keep doing this, folks. We can't keep doing this.
Welcome to the Climate Recap from the Beckosphere Climate Corner, your go-to place for international and US-based climate news. I'm Becky Hogue, a climate communicator. Today is Monday, October 10th. Let's jump right into today's news. Let's start with some extreme weather events. After the deadly floods that killed nearly 1,700 people in Pakistan is in the midst of its second wave of deaths as cases of waterborne illnesses like typhoid, malaria, and dengue fever mount alongside hunger and increased sanitation issues caused by knocked out farmlands and essential infrastructure. More than 8 million Pakistanis are facing a food crisis, and
Weed has much of an effect of cancer as aspirin. It's just slightly anti-inflammatory. It's not to be over enthusiastic. Yeah, I don't know. Army of Lime, it might be true. I don't know. Gas has increased 700% in my lifetime. My paycheck hasn't. True. I don't think neither of us.
and like the
I do know that there has been significant evidence to suggest that like weed does help a lot with certain conditions, seizures and whatnot. So I know there's like, definitely a medical purpose.
flood, this crisis will disproportionately impact children. The country has run out of aid money, so the UN has upped its flood aid appeal. The historic flooding event that started this whole disaster was made worse by climate change, which increased the monsoon season's rainfall, increased glacier melt that also contributed to the flooding, and droughted the area prior so the ground wouldn't take up as much water. I will leave a link below if you want to help donate to aid organizations helping Pakistan recover. China's weather was really confused last week. Dozens of heat alerts were issued in southern provinces like Jiangxi. Crops in the area are already struggling from the worst drought in 50 years.
Probably in Europe, my friend.
In the Gansu province shattered previous Chinese October heat records when it reached 105 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, well, I know definitely that that's a thing. Cannabis can help mitigate side effects from cancer treatments like chemotherapy. Yes. Yes.
Or 40.9 degrees Celsius last Monday. The weather there is usually around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way. 3 other provinces hit heat records last week too. Meanwhile, other parts of China have already seen snowfall. I told you the weather there is really confused. The National Meteorological Center issued its earliest national cold wave warning last Sunday, which was lifted 3 days later. The warning applied to the north and central regions. These drastic temperature fluctuations could risk crop damage and hinder forest growth. Time for some climate studies. This summer broke so many drought records. Europe saw its worst drought in 500 years, the American West is in its worst drought it's seen in 1200 years, and the Jiangxi River in China hit its lowest water level since at least 1865. The World Weather Attribution Service released a new report finding that the Northern Hemisphere drought could happen once every 20 years due to climate change, up from once every 400 years without global warming. Climate change forms feedback loops that make extreme weather events much more common and severe. For example, heat waves dry out areas leading to drought, and this lack of vegetation makes heat waves more common. And when one area is impacted by a heat wave, that heat can easily travel to other parts of the world. The North American heat waves this September have led to record ice melt in Greenland, which experienced temperatures about 8 degrees Celsius higher than average. The U.S. National Snow and Ice Data Center detected temperatures above 0 degrees Celsius over 3,200 meters or 10,500 feet above sea level for the first time in September since measurements began in 1989. Surface ice melt occurred on over a third of the ice sheet, melting an area equivalent to California and Nebraska combined. This could have large implications for atmospheric temperature patterns, sea level rise, and global ocean temperature patterns as well. Switching gears here, a new report by the anti-waste nonprofit Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives, or GAIA, determined that adopting zero-waste practices like composting, recycling, and production cuts could lead to an 84% decline in waste-related emissions. For the US, that's equivalent to taking all the gas-powered cars off the road. Food waste that is just thrown into landfill releases methane as it decomposes, and methane is 84 times a more potent greenhouse gas than CO2 for the first 20 years they're in the atmosphere. Because it's such a methane-heavy emitter, global food waste accounts for 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Gaia points to Seoul, South Korea as a great example of how to dispose waste properly.
Folks,
the city diverts some 96% of its organic waste from the landfill just by making separate bins available.
With diamonds here, if you see anybody with a diamond, go throw them a follow. From the American Cancer Society. Interesting. Huh. Okay, I was about to say, this sounds like something recent because I did not know about this. Very interesting. Huh. Promising stuff. And if you want to check out this channel, I recommend hitting that subscribe button and helping her out, alright? She's a friend of the show, too. Salination keeps the evaporation temperature of ocean water higher. Too much ice melts into the ocean, lowers the temperature, and leads to more extreme weather conditions. Yep.
Available for people to throw food scraps into. That act alone can reduce a city's methane emissions by 62%. Organic material that's stuck to non-organic items and landfill can further be reduced by the addition of microbes, increasing the methane emissions reduction potential to 95%. What's interesting is that Gaia warns against energy recovery methods that capture methane from landfills to be converted into fuel or burning garbage for energy. They say these methods could produce more climate pollution than they avoid. The report also stressed the importance of source reduction, aka not producing as many goods to end up decomposing slowly in the landfill in the first place. Banning single-use plastics and increasing recycling and reuse infrastructure can significantly reduce energy intensity of goods. For example, a recycled aluminum can is 95% less energy intensive to make than a new one, though due to the lack of recycling infrastructure right now, a new one can cost less to make. So that's backwards. I'll pass this story off to you now though. Do you live in an area that prioritizes composting, reuse, or recycling? If so, I'd love to hear what you think about these programs.
No,
if not, let me know what you would like to see in your area. For me, California recently started allowing people
literally anything. Most of the stuff we've kind of just done ourselves. At this point, our best move might be to flood a small continent to bring the temperature down. How is that going to work, my friend? That doesn't seem correct. Furthermore, the implications are horrendous, and furthermore, messing with the planet's system like that would probably have unintended consequences. I don't know if that would even be a plausible idea.
To put compost in their yard waste bins, which is an excellent thing, except that apartment complexes like mine often don't have a yard waste bin, so we still don't have access to that option. So I would like to see that improved. Let's get into the climate victories now. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, recently stated that while cutting emissions will likely hinder economic growth and increase inflation, it won't hurt the global economy nearly as much as climate inaction. Decades of inaction have made a smooth transition less likely, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't transition, it says. The IMF strongly encourages the world to resist using inflation as a reason to not act, and instead for global economies to drop emissions by 25% by 2030 to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. Continuing the monetary theme, Munich Re, the largest reinsurer in the world, announced on its website that starting in April 2023, it will stop investing in or insuring projects that involve new oil and gas field or new midstream oil infrastructure. While some would have liked to see stricter moves away from supporting gas infrastructure, this is still a significant step for the global financial market. Let's switch gears now to talk about some news from the European agriculture sector. The dairy co-op Arla, which has 8,900 members in 7 European countries, announced it will pay farmers more money for their milk if they meet new sustainability targets. On the flip side of that coin, if farmers fail to meet those sustainability goals, they will see less money for their product. The initiative is based on a point system where points are received based on if farmers efficiently use fertilizer and protein, animal feed, the delivery of manure to biogas production, and the use of renewable electricity. The goal is to help the co-op reach its target of reducing emissions on farms by 30% for each kilo of milk produced by 2030 and of reaching net zero by 2050. The initiative will begin by July 2023. What do you think of this incentive model? Let me know in the comment section below. Once you go electric, you don't go back. That's according to data on vehicle registration collected by S&P Global Mobility. Roughly 2/3 of electric vehicle owning households in the US that bought a new car in 2022 got another electric one. That's up from less than half in the second quarter of 2021 and shows EV's staying power despite the US still being behind Europe and China in EV adoption. The number of models available in the US increased from 27 in July 2021 to 45 in July 2022. That number is expected to reach 150 models by 2025. Tesla's Model Y and Model 3 continue to be the most popular option.
It's not incentive enough. It's still cheaper for companies to pay the fines or just comply with the law. Yep. If you have a scenario where the punishment can be just either kicked off to the consumer or just peanuts in comparison to the profits that they make, then yeah, it's pretty much ineffective. The number of models is irrelevant. Wait, what?
with just these two models accounting for half of new EV purchases in July. 91% of Tesla owners who bought another EV this year bought another Tesla, showing major brand loyalty. But while Tesla's accounted for 81% of EV purchases in 2019, an increase in models from other distributors has moved that portion down to 60% this year. Overall, EVs accounted for 5.8% of all cars registered in the US this July, up from 3.4% last year. If you
it works, folks. It's working. We're doing great, folks. There's no change necessary. It's perfect. Everything should just remain the way it is.
An EV or plan to buy one, which model do you have or would like to have? I'm still waiting on the VW Buzz to come out to the States in 2024. Now let's talk about health. Oregon will be the first state
the Nissan Leaf seems to be pretty cool. That's so far like the one that interests me. If I needed a vehicle, that's if I needed another vehicle or a new vehicle, I guess, whenever it becomes necessary, it would be the Nissan Leaf. Looks pretty cool. The VW Buzz, color me curious. Well, there you go. I hate to say it, but VW is likely going bankrupt. Do you think so?
To cover climate change expenses for certain low-income patients under its Medicaid program starting in 2024. This will include covering the cost of air conditioning and air filters if the patients have health conditions and live in an area declared under a climate emergency due to extreme heat or wildfire risk. The new Medicaid policy will also continuously enroll any child until the age 6 without families having to re-enroll them each year. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services call what Oregon's doing groundbreaking Medicaid initiatives and
or just start expanding that nationwide, if only.
Plans to provide $1.1 billion in new federal funding to support the climate initiative. Massachusetts is another U.S. state working to provide more coverage to its Medicaid recipients amidst growing extreme weather events. And that brings us into the climate fails. Remember, don't get despondent. Get mad. Let's start by talking about the upcoming COP15 event. No, not COP27, the largest UN climate conference happening in Egypt next
COP15
month. COP15 is the largest UN biodiversity conference happening in Canada in December. It was originally supposed to happen in China, but China kept failing to make the conference happen over the last several years, so the location was moved to Canada. That being said, China is still technically leading it. We're talking about this in the climate fails section because China still hasn't invited world leaders to attend the conference, only ministers. This downgrades the importance of this conference. Maintaining biodiversity is essential for human livelihood since our food system and stable climate rely on a wide range of plants, animals, and fungi. We are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction, the first one to be caused by a single species, aka humans. Biodiversity targets for the next decade are expected to be made during COP15, so this is a very important conference. That's why it's unfortunate it's been spearheaded by China and Canada, who have an ever-withering relationship. If China doesn't step up and officially invite world leaders to attend this conference, it might not happen at all for the 3rd year in a row unless world leaders invite themselves. So we'll have to keep our eye on this event. Okay, now let's talk about COP27, which is apparently now being sponsored by Coca-Cola.
Nice.
That's not a good sign since Coca-Cola has continuously been ranked one of the top plastic polluters in the world. By allowing the company to sponsor this large climate event, COP27's leadership is helping Coca-Cola to greenwash itself. Seriously, like the company has already put out a statement saying it, quote, shares the goal of eliminating waste and appreciates efforts to raise awareness, even though it has done very little to prove that. Where's your robust recycling program, Coca-Cola?
It doesn't exist.
How are you doing at switching to bioplastics? As a reminder, plastic is mainly made of fossil fuels, so the plastic industry is a way for the oil and gas industry to stick around into the future, even if the energy sector moves away from them. More than 84,000 climate activists have signed a petition asking COP27 organizers to reverse this decision. Neither Egypt's COP27 presidency nor the UN climate change body has provided comment. Do you think they'll change their mind?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. But if you would like to make your voice known, you can sign the petition, which I will link below. The COP27 Farming Coalition is also under fire for working with the North American Meat Institute, or NAMI, which openly questions the origins of climate change on its website. The Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate, or AIM4C, was started by the US and the United Arab Emirates during COP26 last year to fund research into agriculture-based technologies meant to reduce the sector's climate impact. NAMI, which represents the largest meat companies in the US, was named a knowledge partner despite questioning climate science. AIM4C has also been accused of promoting industry-favored techno-fixes over meaningful sector reform ahead of COP27 too, so that's fun. Okay, now let's look at what the UK Truss government has been up to recently. It recently opened up 900 locations to the possibility of fossil fuel exploration, offering 100 licenses. That directly goes against the UK's decarbonization goals and the advice of both the International Energy Agency and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change that have both stated that there should be no new fossil fuel projects if we are to keep warming well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels to avoid catastrophic climate change. That supporters of the licensing say that it will increase energy independence and security, and that the fossil fuel produced from the North Sea will be less carbon intensive than imported fuel due to fewer transportation emissions. But that emissions reduction would probably be minuscule at best, and this exploration could lock the UK into fossil fuel use for longer, so these licenses will actually probably cause more emissions than if they weren't around. Additionally, even fossil fuel companies admit that this increase in exploration will do almost nothing to decrease energy prices, so it sounds like the only parties to
Right, because like, okay, they start working on this. How long is it going to take before these things get up and running? Like, okay, whatever.
benefit from this arrangement are fossil fuel companies and the UK government. But let me know what you think of this whole thing in the comment section below, especially
It's a complete debacle. Jesus. We're likely going to be more oil and gas for the next 5 years until renewables and battery production makes them irrelevant. Yeah, well, it depends. We'll see. Really, they need to be irrelevant now. 10 years ago, but 20 years ago, but here we are. We'll see. In an ideal scenario, if I could just like Thanos snap my fingers, we would be moving in the direction of renewables as quickly as humanly possible.
if you're from the UK. In the US, another state has thrown its hat into the anti-ESG ring. Louisiana pulled $794 million from BlackRock funds, saying the asset managing giant is being anti-fossil fuels. In a letter to BlackRock's chief executive officer, Louisiana's treasurer stated, quote, "Your blatantly anti-fossil fuel policies would destroy Louisiana's economy. Put simply, we cannot be party to the crippling of our own economy." Now, who was the one to decide to put all their eggs in one basket? It's important to remember that statements like this can only exist in a space where disproportionate impact of climate change on the economy is ignored. Also, BlackRock has barely done anything to reduce its fossil fuel assets ever since Texas threatened to boycott the company if it did. It still holds major stakes in fossil fuel companies like ExxonMobil
Wow,
and
surprise.
Republican-led states have already
True.
expressed interest in holding
Maple
federal
Leaf.
hearings against BlackRock and other asset managers that have expressed any interest in reducing their fossil fuel assets if the GOP wins back the House in the midterms next month. Speaking of the midterms, the climate advocacy group Evergreen Action reported that the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, is falling behind in finalizing 8 key rules to reduce air pollution, water pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions from power plants before the end of Biden's first term. This is important because issuing these rules would be challenged or even dismantled if Republicans gain majority in Congress by using the Congressional Review Act. Lawmakers can use this act to scrap any regulation within 60 legislative days of its finalization. Only 2 rules out of the 10 the EPA is working to pass are safe so far, which regulate cross-state air pollution and reduce toxic water pollution from plants. But some of the ones that haven't formally been made yet would reduce mercury pollution, regulate coal ash storage, and limit soot and smog. We'll have to see if the EPA finalizes these rules in time. Do you think that it'll hit its deadline? Let me know in the comment section below. And that was your climate recap for Monday, October 10th. Remember to talk about the climate crisis every single day and to support your local news organizations. Thank you so much to the people on Patreon who help support me and my fur baby Rue. A special shout out to the climate confident and courageous David H., Norman Anal, Greg H., Paul B., Phil Plasma, Dan Morton, Dane Chris, Nate, and Specker. I greatly appreciate your support of $5 or more. If you would like to support the Beckosphere, please check out the Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links in the description below for recurring or one-time payments.
True.
Bye for now.
All right. Excellent, phenomenal stuff. Please go consider subscribing. Okay. All right, folks, we did it. We got through everything pretty smooth and just under 7:30. We did it, folks. That was pretty smooth. That was very, very smooth. I know. I saw Maple Leaf. I saw. If it makes you feel better, I often play the videos here on this channel, so it's like you won't miss, right? It's like you get the dailies, the daily updates at least. I know it won't be live, but you know, it is what it is. Live is live. True. It is different. It is worlds apart to try to do live content and interacting with the live audience, and making prepared content. I unfortunately cannot do prepared content. I'm very, I don't know, my brain's just not really geared for that. It's hard. It's very difficult for me. I couldn't do daily videos like she does. I could not do that. Nope. I'm sort of okay at like doing live entertainment, like content and things like that, responding to people, both hostile and not. But that's just me. You have to be here to challenge the trolls. Oh yeah, that's my bread and butter. That's my bread and butter. That is my bread and butter. By the way, before I go, remember yesterday? Was it today's Monday? No, it had to be Thursday. Yes. So Thursday we had somebody who came in here with I don't know, it was like a massive back-to-back raid kind of day. And somebody came in here making the claim that Greta Thunberg said something about like the space lasers, right? When a lot of people astutely, including myself, pointed out that no, actually that was Marjorie Taylor Greene who made those like anti-Semitic dog whistles and whatnot. Greta Thunberg had nothing to do with this, and they finally sent me a pleasant message saying that they were incorrect. So yeah, that concludes that arc. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting. I'm just glad that they figured out they were wrong. I do have to challenge the trolls, and I do have to challenge people like Ben Shapiro and Russell Brand occasionally, but I don't know. I'm probably leave Russell Brand for a moment, because like that video, the couple of videos that I've seen have just like completely broke my brain. I don't want to do that. True. There's only so much Russell Brand BS I can take. All right, folks. I've got to get going. It is just hitting on the 7:30 mark. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. We've done a phenomenal job at crossing over the 2,000 finish line in terms of follows. Please spread the word far and wide. And if you have a moment, or do or want to support the channel, please just hit the big red subscribe button on the YouTube. It really does help us out, and it provides another way in case, like, you know, Twitch doesn't exist tomorrow. If Twitch doesn't exist tomorrow, it's okay. We got YouTube. So make sure that you go and hit the subscribe button. It really does help us out. Spread the word far and wide. Please go follow a couple of these wonderful folks. Twitch.tv/CarpePax. Twitch.tv/AlioShare. I believe I got everybody. I think so. I believe I got everybody. I saw Fu Manchu in chat, so I'll just do a quick shout out. Twitch.tv/Tina_2. Go follow her. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you guys for all the support. You guys are what make this channel grow. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya.
Change on this subway train, looking for
All right, hang tight, everybody. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.